When you are looking to make use of blob storage as part of your storage account in Windows Azure, you do have a couple of choices with respect to how your users or how maybe other people in other parts of your environment are going to be able to access the data in those blobs. So what we're going to have a look at here is just some of the basic security settings of blob storage. Now, when you're in your Windows Azure portal, you can create the containers that are required for blob storage, but there's very minimal configuration that you can do after the fact. So we're still going to use our storage explorer here for most of this, but we will just have a quick look at creating the container from within Azure. So I'm just going to go to my container option and hit create a container, and let's call this one private. And do take note, for whatever reason, you actually cannot use uppercase letters in the name of your containers. As soon as I put that in there, it can contain only lowercase letters. So we'll set that to private. And then these are your permission sets here. So the access for private in this case is exactly what we want. But if you do click on the drop down, you see you've got the choice here to make a public container, which we'll do next, or you can make just an individual public blob. If the container is public, then you can access all of the blobs in that container. But for now, let's just do a private one, and we'll go ahead and create that. So there's the private container created now. So I can click on this and you'll see that it's going to tell us that there's nothing in here. So that's fine. We're going to use our storage explorer to add a file in that we can make use of. So this container has no blobs, and you see in fact that there is no option to create or upload a blob from within the Azure portal. So this is where we're going to switch back. Let's just go back here, and we're going to switch over to our storage explorer. So now if I just refresh this, I should see the container. There we go. And you see that the padlock has appeared, indicating that this is a private blob, so that we do need to be able to have the correct level of access. So what we're going to do is just upload a file into here, and I've just created just a sample VHD file, very common that you might use for blob storage. So I'm just going to hit my upload option. Select our private one here, and then we can hit upload. And then we just have to browse, and I've got a VHD file right here on my desktop, and it doesn't contain anything, and it's quite small, just to make sure that it goes quickly. We're going to upload that, and that shouldn't take too long. But what we're going to see is that once the file is uploaded, we'll see that it has some properties already set on it, some metadata, because of course the way that you access the blob storage is actually through browsers. So once this uploads, we'll be able to find out what the URL is that we can use to access that, and we can test to make sure that all of the properties with respect to security are correct. So we'll just let that upload. Okay, so that has completed, and there's the file in the blob now. So there's my VHD, and I can double click on this now, and we can see that there are the properties. So there's the name, obviously, but right there we see, of course, is how we can access this through its URI. It tells us some other properties about it being a block blob and some other properties here, and we can set some other information through metadata. If there's any image appropriate with that, or any text-based data or whatever, or even a video that goes along with it, we can upload that as well. But for the time being, all we need to be concerned about here is how we can access it via a browser. Now, within Storage Explorer, you have an option right here to view in browser. But because this is a private one, well, we in fact should not be able to access this. So we're going to go ahead and click view on browser. And that's exactly what we should see. We should get a 404 error indicating that we aren't able to get to this particular blob. So the way to be able to get to that blob is in fact to give people access to the management keys. So back here in the storage accounts, the manage access keys, you would have to give somebody these values to give them ability to get into, to be able to access that content and to be able to do anything with it. So just browser-based access through a private blob is not available by default unless you have the access keys, or of course you've given them access to something like your Storage Explorer. So that's the basis of a private blob, and later on we'll see how we can set up a public one.